Hello! It is the Everton Club Call. It's Wednesday. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. It's 5 o'clock-ish. This ain't bad.
I don't think it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Fashionably late.
It's not like...
It is 4 minutes ago.
And that's fact. That's if you believe in time, of course.
Exactly. You don't believe in time anyway. So why would you?
No.
But we are here again. And on this momentous day, when once again Everton have saved the Merseyside region.
I like to think that, because it's true.
It's true. It's a fact, true. Mate. We're just spitting facts. End of story.
You know, for anyone who's ever rung up Radio Merseyside, and you know, today is a dark day.
It's a dark day.
For anyone who all those naysayers who rung up and said you can't build the stadium for all those reasons, today is very much the day why Liverpool Council wanted to take your money, your taxpayers' money, and give it to Everton.
Just give it to Everton
for this moment, because of course Everton have been shortlisted for the preferred stadiums for the Euro 2020. Just saying that sounds weird, doesn't it? Euro 2028.
It sounds like it's in the future. So
it does sound like it in the future.
Scarily in the future.
It is scary in the future. You know, when the last one was here in Euro 96, if someone had said to me it's not coming back till 2028 and Everton will have been in the stadium, their new stadium, for 4 years, I think I probably just would have.
And Everton,
what are you talking about?
And Everton wouldn't have won a trophy.
Yeah, and Everton wouldn't. Well,
don't forget when it was last here, we'd only just won the FA Cup.
Good times.
We was good times. And we had Andre Kanchelskis.
I was at Anfield watching Andre Kanchelskis
against Paolo Maldini.
Get schooled by Paolo Maldini.
Yeah.
But that was very much the reason why I was there. And
tremendous.
And now it's back again. And listen, Liverpool have got their little stadium can't cope with it. So if it wasn't for us having our stadium, the stadium, as I said, that many people who hung up Radio Merseyside who believed it would never happen, you know, the day has come.
It's an interesting, it's a bold thing, I think. It's a real bold move by the UK and Ireland bid to name a cone as one of the imaginary stadium. Or slash a cone as a preferred bid.
It's bold.
It's a bold strategy.
It's very much in line with a lot of the strategies from this government. To just do imaginary things and go after imaginary people, but it's as I said, it's a big moment. And
puff the chest,
you know, because in 2028, all these naysayers, all these people who thought we were all fantasists, will be going to watch these games, whilst also seeing the likes of, I imagine, Coldplay. Ed Sheeran, second best guitarist in the world.
After Ned.
After Ned, of course. Beyonce. And, you know, whichever up-and-coming bands there are out there that are likely to play at the Mega Dome, that is our stadium.
DMAs. Will they be there?
I don't know. I'd like to think so. And there is a DMA shirt somewhere.
It's up there on the top, actually, the DMA shirt.
Have we not got a call on Ned?
No, we don't need one at the moment.
Okay, just that. But I mean, this is the club call. We'd like people to call in.
EFC Graham's gone in very early with a question. And what, if anything, will force these board members to leave Headlock Gate? He's gone early. He's gone early with that. We don't know. It's the reality. Are they still here? There's indications that
let me just say something about that, right? Because I don't feel like I get to talk about this much. But
just don't go off on one about it.
I won't go off on one. But tomorrow there's a meeting, an online meeting. It was supposed to be a physical meeting, and it's online tomorrow. You'll see all the details online and stuff. I'll post them later about people like myself who've been doing the marches every game, and I keep on hearing people saying, "Why just continue? There's no point." And it's like, well, just for your information, these people are still at our football club and they're still making decisions. They aren't sitting there going, we'll get off soon. They are still there and they are very much still making decisions on a day-to-day basis. One decision would be not turning up at meetings for the FAB, which I believe today Watford have been punished for by the EFL for not having enough communication with their fans.
Seen that today,
These people are very much still at our football club, very much making decisions that affect very much us as supporters. So that's why people still do it, and they are still at our club. And I don't know what will get them out, because they've got they've got, the things that have been said and the things that have been done and the things that get put out there, and they're still at our football club, and it's crazy. People keep, they'll be gone soon. No, they're still here.
Right.
Still here.
There's 3 other things I want to do here. First of all, some housekeeping.
Ooh.
Subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button. Subscribe to Toffee TV Football. Go and do it right now. Put the link somewhere, Ned, in the thing. Click it and subscribe. That's your first call to action. Thank you very much. Really helps the channel. Helps with that. Thank you very much. Secondly, Mark Burton has said Elon Musk has made his dog chairman of Twitter.
He has.
Maybe his dog will buy Everton.
He's changing the name, isn't he? He's changing it from. It's a
woof.
He's made the company X, and there are rumours that he's going to change the name of Twitter to something else in keeping with his SpaceX brand. So because basically he wants to
Twitter X.
I think he wants to get away from the whole Twitter thing and him basically destroying it and allowing all right-wing lunatics to go on there and say what they want and preach hate and all that kind of all that stuff.
Firefly says, watching Man City last night made me realise how bad Everton are at football.
Yeah.
It is. It's like a different sport, let's be honest. It is. Nick F says, bring back the retro watch, lads. Some good Everton VHS stuff on YouTube. Season reviews be good now to listen to your commentaries. Obviously on Premiere. We may well do that. To be honest, I do want a planning meeting with all of us here at Toffee TV to get some better content, some more interesting content for us to do. So that will be put on the board because we do enjoy watching them, and generally when we watch them, Everton are better than they are now. So that's why it's always a good
We have a 100% win rate in most of those
when we watch them. But if we do the season ones, we wouldn't. But it would still be interesting. Matty Bluno says, afternoon lads, a dismal Everton result and performance has brought the dismal weather back. Correct.
The weather's just. Do you know what? It's like living on that rock that they live in and How to Train a Dragon.
Oh, it's depressing.
It just never stops.
It's depressing. Matty Blunos also says, what do you think has been your favourite Premier League season in terms of the competition, at the top or the bottom? If you had one, could you choose one? The Aguero moment is like so iconic, isn't it? There was to be
honest, I wanted Man United to win it that year.
No, I'm just saying that was... Did you? Yeah. That was berserk. The United Newcastle one in '96, before Newcastle fans become... Well, some of them, I wouldn't say, of course I wouldn't. Before a section of them became unbearable, like Geordie Coppites. Not all of them. They weren't. I had some... When I was at uni, mate, I had a few Geordies. They were brilliant lads. Brilliant. And girls, actually, a few of them. In fact, tremendous. That was a good season. The Cantona Keegan one, that was a good one. From an Everton perspective, obviously the Roberto Martinez season was good because obviously we done quite well in that one. Moyes had some good ones. But I don't know. I think that it would be difficult to beat the Aguero moment, wouldn't it? It would for like a league won with the last kick.
I particularly enjoyed that. I wanted Man United to win the league that year. I knew soon as they won that league, that was the end of it for everybody. So that was the end of it for everyone. So I didn't particularly like that.
No, okay.
I didn't really want them to win the league.
It's tremendous.
I didn't want them to win. I was quite happy with Manchester United winning it. So
okay.
No, to be honest, I enjoyed the 95-96 season. Year after winning the league, felt like anything was possible.
Year after winning the cup.
Yeah, we had Kanchelskis. We had, it was good. It was good. I enjoyed that season, and then parts of the following season were good as well. It was optimistic. Felt really. The Times felt really optimistic. Felt like we were still part of the elite, and we were on our way back. And yeah.
Toby Lerone says Ned and Cam. Chat ham.
Yeah.
Ned and Cam talk about ham across the last 50 years. Favourite cooking style, tinned ham, etc.
They could go to Parma.
I like that. I'll see what you've done there. I like that. I think there's a slight issue with that. Is the pair of them are useless at planning and following anything through.
I don't think
got no motivation.
I think you'd struggle to get them in the same room.
You wouldn't get them in the same room anymore. Cam has got a different interest.
That relationship feels like it's run its course now.
There's a crack in it now.
I don't think it's a crack. I just feel like it's run its course. I feel like, one of them has moved on to bigger and brighter things since he went on jury duty. And the other one is just got himself in an absolute tangled mess that I don't know how he's going to get himself out of. I see Ned as in the positive light here. The world's at his feet. As long as he doesn't try and kick it while it's at his feet, he'll be fine. That's the issue if he tries to kick it and then maybe someone will come along and nutmeg him or something. But
Danny Gray says, I felt sorry for Everton when you finished fourth and didn't get Champions League because you were cheated. Yeah, that was a dark day. It was a dark day. Gary, listen to this one. Gary Rosconi, it's a great name by the way, says, I support Liverpool, but weirdly don't watch any Liverpool fan channels. Yeah. However, I watch your channel and Mark Goldbridge channel religiously. Yeah. I'm not sure what this means.
I think it
might mean you like watching people in pain.
I don't. I just think it means we're just generally entertaining.
Maybe.
Maybe
that's what it is.
I think we're not here necessarily to break down every last element of Everton Football Club, because I think we've done that a million times. Yeah. But I think we're here to just try and brighten our own days, and because I don't sparkling personalities, that
exactly. Helps. And I also don't think we're deluded, though.
No, we're definitely not deluded.
That's the thing, is that we are. If Everton are crap, we will say Everton are crap. Yeah. We want them to be brilliant, and we want them to be the best. But we'll say it, won't we?
I'm happy to say. I will happily burn down Everton.
What, are you happily or happy or happily?
All three of them. They were all the rejected dwarfs.
I felt sorry for them.
They were all. They never quite.
They never got to judge.
They never quite made it. No, I will happily burn down Everton. And I've done many a time, but that's only for the benefits of the football club, because
I'm sure they see it that way.
They love it. They absolutely.
Stop answering the phone.
I believe. Well, they're too busy making notes about what I'm saying. Yeah. But I believe that when I am talking, Everton want to listen. Yeah, we are aware Jordan is there.
Jordan
doing our thing.
Just wait, you waving
fingers
wavy,
on lips.
Mac wavy.
We will come to you now, Jordan.
We will, Jordan.
Yeah, listen. The football club is the football club. That is us.
We are here. We will talk and chat and do things and do things. And you know what? I know what I'm starting to get, and I've got this from talking to some other creators.
Oh yeah.
And watching some stuff and that. It's that, like, from now on, we're just going to do stuff we like. And if you like it, you like it. And if you don't, you can do one. End of. Life's too short.
I've never ever not.
No, you haven't, but I think no more about, just the light bulb's gone off in my head.
If you like something,
I'm doing it.
If you like something, you do it. And if other people like it, that's great. Good. If they don't, then, because if you try and make something that you don't like, you can't keep it up.
No.
That's what it tells me anyway. That's what Ned said. But it's impossible.
If you could send some Viagra over to the young man, he might be quite happy.
I'm not going to tell me story about that. But got Jordan on the line anyway.
I'm now intrigued.
Leave them wanting more.
I want more. What about? Well, you have to take the other half of the tablet then.
Right, Jordan, are you there?
I'm there. It's me from Canada. It's just.
What a way of coming into it. It's just yourself. Me. It's me. Where about in Canada are you, Jordan?
And Dartmouth, Nova Scotia.
Oh, Nova Scotia.
You've seen me before.
No, I know, but we like to paint the picture for everybody else, though.
For the world, Jordan, for the world.
I hear you. Anyhow, I know that Manchester United was our least winnable game, and not just a setback, but kind of disappointing because we were so easily cut through. But I honestly am still hopeful for the rest of our season. Besides, guess who's back in the house?
Is it Eminem?
No. Dom.
Okay.
That's gonna be good news. Yeah. Even if he ends up being subbed on at like 65, even if he doesn't score, he's good enough at the intangibles, and we saw that in the Arsenal home game.
Yeah.
That can help others immensely.
Yeah, absolutely. Good in both boxes, which is
and it looks like the decision not to also with Alexander Mitrovic ban. Well, granted, I think 8 games is excessive. 4 to 5 probably to say that, indicate that it's more serious. But 8, did he punch the guy?
No, well, listen, you've got to have. No, I actually think 8. I actually think 8 short, mate. I just don't. I think we can hate referees as much as we want, but I just don't think you can put your hands on the referee.
I don't hate referees.
He went back though, didn't he? I think the other thing as well, Jordan, is that when you see Chris Kavanagh, he was aggressive towards him. And listen, I'm not referee's biggest fans, but he was aggressive towards him. But then he went back at him as well. He was in his face, wasn't he? So I know what you're saying. Did he took and all that? But I think, to be honest, I think he's a bit lucky that he only got that, really. When you see some other things, but it's an interesting one. But in terms of Dom, you're absolutely right. It mightn't even be the goals that he scores. I think he will come up with a couple of big goals. I just do, if he can stay fit. But it's the other stuff. You're right. It's the fact that he's a target. It's the fact that people have to look out for him. Can people pick the knockdowns? Great in the air. It's all of that stuff, and he gives your team and the fans confidence he can get goals. He does. So it will be that stuff, those other stuff that maybe it isn't always measurable. It's not like he's going to get 8 goals and it'd be great if he did, by the way. But, you know, he might get a couple, but they could be key moments in the season, and that's what we all need at them, and Everton especially, with a team that has no goals in it, Jordan. We need as many as we can, don't we?
Entirely. We'll take it each one game at a time.
Mm-hmm.
I'll still pay attention to indirect fixtures only because it's an excuse to catch more games that are interesting, and because they actually do matter, even though our games obviously matter most.
Absolutely.
And the league that I'm familiar with starts next week, so I get to have my weekend ruined twice.
Which league's that, Jordan?
Canadian Premier League.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Starts next week.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it starts next week. Halifax are playing against the league leaders, Ottawa.
Oof.
That's going to be fun.
Oof.
We've changed up so much. We've done ridiculous transfer window business. We got some folks from academies you wouldn't expect a relatively low tier country's pro league to get at, like some folks from the PSG and Palmeiras academies, Lorenzo Caligari and Thiago Coimbra, respectively.
Interesting.
And even though it's unlikely for our star goal scorer Joao Morelli to show up next season, he won't be our only source of goals this time.
Interesting.
Or rather, we're not going to end up absolutely goalless without him.
Well,
our preseason was pretty good. I know that it was against semi-pro teams, but we cut right through them. We didn't do that in the prior preseason. But yeah, we've got a new midfield, and we've appropriately replaced some of the better players that bounced, like our penalty king, Sammy Salter.
Sam, what a name! The big Sammy Salter. What a name!
Yeah, that's him. He's in Ottawa now. And Jeremy Gagnon Labouré, midfield power, basically the Decore of the Wanderers. Including losing his head that one time. But he was also really, really good in both boxes. He's gone to York, but we've appropriately replaced our stuff. And we have a new gaffer who is willing to take risks and willing to go on the front foot a lot more. A lesson that our club over at Everton could take.
To be fair, Jordan, you started out really negative about, and now you seem really positive about your team.
Yeah, now all of a sudden,
I want to follow your boys now.
The Wanderers.
Yeah, there you go.
Tremendous. Tremendous.
No.
I initially started. Yeah, I had that joke in the chamber about getting to have my weekend ruined twice because Everton Fulham, which I think will win. They'll probably be like Crystal Palace, where we surprised everybody, and the game with my local team are on the same day, one almost immediately after the other.
Okay.
So I'll have my weekend enriched twice.
Well, there you go, Jordan. There you go. That's what we want. That's what we want.
I think Everton will stay up. It will probably end up 15th, 16th, or 17th because we did have a bit of a downturn in the start of the year. I expected I figured it'd be between 10th and 14th at the start of the season, but I think some things happened that kind of prevent that, but made that less likely. But I think we'll be like 15th, 16th, or 17th. Southampton are over unless they like pull off some miracles actually worthy of Saints.
I'll see what you did there.
Yeah. They look like the only one at the moment. Well, they're the only one who sort of cast a drift at the moment. So it'll be. There's still. I still think there's loads of twists and turns to go, which is not great for the heart pressure. But hopefully we can. If we could get a couple of wins back to back, that would be so huge. Like last year with Chelsea and Leicester, if we could get a couple of back to back wins, that would just be massive for us. But we'll have to wait and see. The away form's not great, but we'll just have to hope that happens anyway.
Absolutely. Thanks,
There we go, Jordan. Thanks for the call, mate.
Jordan.
See you later. There you go, Jordan. I didn't realise we were going to find out all about Canadian.
It's great. That's what you get here.
Soccer.
That's what you get.
Top man, Jordan.
Yes, Rondon the legend saying hit the likes. Nice one, Rondon the legend. Hope you're doing quite well in River Plate. Pat Mercer says, lads, why are we talking about selling Niels and Kunku? He's far better than any left back we have.
Is he though? Really? Is he though?
He's, to be honest, he's a wing back or a attacking wide player. He's not a left back really. He's not good enough defensively. He's decent going the other way, absolutely he is. But Everton might get some money for him, mightn't he? So, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens there. Scott says, what are your thoughts on Isaac Price not getting a new deal, Pedro?
Well, it's not that he's not getting a new deal, it's that he's walking out on us, isn't he? Yeah. To be honest, I said this yesterday on the Premier show. We've known this for a while. That he was probably leaving. I think it illustrates. It illustrates. I think it illustrates that Kevin Felwell needs to do better at his job, because I think for me, Isaac Price has fallen down the cracks because Frank Lampard liked him, but obviously never give him a chance. Then it's up to the club to say, well, if Frank Lampard likes him but he's not quite ready, we need to find a path for him. And I think he's been let down by that. I think Stanley Mills has been let down by that. I think Stanley Mills was on the verge of the first team, but not quite there. And then he has to go and play in the under-21s with there's nothing to be gained by playing in the... There's nothing to be gained. The under-21s is obviously for like 17, 18-year-olds to come in, play maybe against more physical players, get used to playing on... maybe playing now and again on better on grounds with people in them, and it's a league and it's got structure, and you're not just playing on the show pitches, your training ground. There's a little bit more to it. But I think once you hit that ceiling where you're doing really well, like Tom Cannon did, like Dobbin did, where you're scoring goals, then you have to say you're ready for the next thing. Now, the next challenge where you're not as good as everybody else, it's dead easy. It's dead easy playing FIFA on easy level. Now you got to play it on hard level, which means going into the League One or the Championship, and I think that's where Isaac Price has been let down. I think Stanley Mills has been let down by that as well, and we've seen what how well Tom Cannon's doing by someone coming, taking him, giving him a chance, playing him every game. And I think if that chance had been afforded to Isaac Price, we'd be looking now going, so imagine if we said, right, we're sending him out on loan and we're going to give him a contract. So he fully understood. But I just think that the way it was left with him, he's like, well, this fella likes me, but he's not playing me, and the next fella's not going to give me a chance because he hasn't got to look at the position Everton in. So once again, I think that's Kevin Felwell's job to do that. Never mind who's the manager. I think that's Felwell's job to take him away and go, I've got your career path sorted for you at this football club. That's what a director of football is. It's to take away the managerial changes, and I think we've got it badly wrong. And listen, if the lad sees his future elsewhere, he's not the first one. So I think that's sad, because Everton Football Club, certainly in the position it's in that right now financially, should be trying to either, one, get players in the first team from the youth ranks, or two, secure them and sell them on, because they are good prospects. No matter what we say about Nathan Broadhead, at least we got some money for him. I know he stayed around for a little bit, but at least we got some money for him in the end. So I think it's poor by Felwell, personally.
John Jones, Tom Cannon isn't out of contract this summer. His contract runs till 2025, I think. There's the Toffee TV football link in the chat. Go and subscribe to that now and then come back here. It'll take you 1 second. Hit the like button here, get that to 100. We have got Pat with us, and then there'll be a little sub on this after that one. So here we go. Pat, are you there?
Yeah, how you doing, mate?
Okay, Pat.
All good. Where you calling from, Pat?
Chicago, as always.
That's it.
You've just tell a on holiday or something,
Sure.
Chicago's calling from, John. Go ahead, mate. What do you want to say?
So I don't think it'll surprise any of you that I'm not only a big baseball analytics guy, but love Football Manager as well. And the sort of the recruitment policy that you take in Football Manager, I'm sure you guys have played it or seen it for a bunch, is you want your players getting into your team by 19 or 20 just to see if they're ready to make that step. Yep. Because, yes, you can get the Jamie Vardys of the world, right? But those are the players that slip. Those are the exceptions. I feel like we have – it says a lot that we have people who stay for a long time, but you got to move people on at some point. Like, yeah, I feel like we're overly loyal to the people – we keep, and we're just like, oh yeah, just another year and you'll make in the first team. Just another year and you'll get in on the bench. Just another year and you'll break into the starting 11. And I feel like by 22, like that Sims is, we should be making a decision. Sims is actually on the right track right now, not by our own standards, not by our own decision, more out of desperation. But that's the age we should be making a decision on, because a footballer's career, especially if it's a midfielder or a forward, especially wingers, their career starts petering out on average between their 28 and 30-year-old season. And that means that, and strikers a little bit later, but not by much. Maybe 30 or 31 is about as late as usually go for an average striker, which I think is what Sims projects to in the scouting books, as at his peak, as his potential.
Yeah.
And so we need to be having players at 22, Sims, where we're making a decision. Okay, do we sell them to a championship team for 2, 3, 4, 5 million? Do we sell them to the Eredivisie, wherever? Do we move them on at this point? Not making a decision when they're 24 and 25, because when they're 24 and 25, they need to actually be in the place that Damari Gray and Alex Iwobi are, where they're contributors in the first team, whether you like them or not. They are contributors in a first team, in a Premier League team. And so that's where you need to be by then. It's not like, oh, you might break into the team by 25. Like, you probably got 3 to 5 years left at that point. Yeah. And we need to be having it once you're moving, like you guys just said, to the U20, a player to the U21s team. We got to be making the decision on whether we're going to have them play a year in the U21s, loan out, or whatever by 19 and 20. And by 21, it's got to be, you're making our team, or we're looking to start sell it. We're going to start putting you on the market. And I feel like that's where we're making a big failure, is that we're almost too loyal. Like you said, we keep these players until they're 25 or 26, and then we just let them go for nothing.
It's frustrating. Absolutely frustrating. Now, me and Pat have said for a while now, you're coming out the 18s. If you're really highly rated playing in Leighton Baines' 18s, you really should be playing in Everton's under 21s. So if I'm in the 18s now and I'm doing really well, like Martin Sheriff, he scored again, I think, another couple at the weekend or whatever, he really should be in Everton's under 21s now, because he's almost outperforming at 18s. So let's have a look. Is he our 21 striker? Okaronko is another one who's doing really well. And I think he looks like he's going to get a loan next season, because I think he's at that level. He's not a through the middle centre forward, so you wouldn't really judge him on.
I picked him up on my Chester save this year.
Right,
they got released by Everton.
There you go. I think Everton will be looking to loan him, because he looks like someone who's on the development path, who they think actually we can get something out of him. Physically, good specimen, can move, got good mobility, decent with the ball at his feet. And that's how you have to do. So when you're in the 21s at 17, 18, the ones who are then progressing, 18, 19, are the loans. And you need to get them out. Where Everton have gone wrong, it's 21 and you start looking, can we get this lad out on loan? At 21. You know,
Way too late.
We're talking about Amadou Onana. He's in Everton's first team at 20, having been bought for £30 million. Okay, he's just turned 21. He's younger than some of our players, you know, in the past who haven't been near a team. Richarlison was the same as Nathan Broadhead, and had won Copa Americas and all sorts, and people are still talking about Nathan Broadhead as if he was a young footballer. But Richarlison's this like older, and you do forget that, is that you do have to make these calls on these players a lot earlier. Otherwise, they come towards the end of their contract and they do slip away. But someone like Isaac Price, who made his full Everton debut at Arsenal at the last day of last season, how have we allowed it to slip into this season when he's got no contract without including him in the first team? Why didn't we say to him last summer, right, you're 19, you've made your debut for the first team, you're coming with us to America, which they did, they trained, and then go, right, are you going to play in Frank Lampard in Everton's first team? And if he goes no, we should have said, right, our pathway for you is we want to get you out on loan because we think you're going to be in our first team in a year. If you develop, give him a new contract, get him out on loan at a football club and let the kid develop. If he develops well, brilliant. If he comes back and all of a sudden you're going, this kid actually can play in our first team, that's outstanding. If he does well, but you still go, not sure, but someone wants a bite on him for £3 million and you're unsure about him, you sell him. But what Everton did was we had him with us. Then Lampard was including him. He trained every day with the first team from February last year. Every day when Lampard come in, he was in and out, in and in, all the way through. But he went to Bournemouth. He didn't get a.
The thing about it is as well, though. Look at this. Look where Isaac Price is rumoured to go. He's rumoured to be going to a team in Belgium, Standard Liège. Standard, it's not brilliant, is it?
No.
It's a good, but that's where Everton should be looking to send him on loan.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
Everton should be looking like they've done with Jarrod. The Jarrod Brandweight loan's been, I think, really good. And
Nkunku went along to Standard Liège, didn't he, last season?
You know, he's going. Did he? He went to Belgium. Was it Standard Liège? Yeah,
Liège.
But Everton should have links with these clubs. They should be pushing teams towards players towards these clubs. In fact, they should have their own club in Europe.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you know, Isaac Price is walking out on us. We'll have asked him to stay, and because he'll look at the situation and go, well, what have you done for me so far? How have you furthered my career?
What have you done for me lately?
Exactly. What have you done for me? And the simple fact is, we haven't done anything to further his career.
No.
And there's a lot of these players about because, as I said, the under-21s is a bit of is just like a dead end.
Yeah,
so you don't want to get stuck in there because you'll
the old reserve team.
Yeah, you'll get stuck in there forever. You need to either get in the first team, and look at like Anthony Gordon. So Anthony Gordon plays he plays half a dozen games for the under-21s, and then he's straight into the first team squad because he was good enough. You don't tend to get a lot of players who hang around in the under-21s and then come up into the first team. They're either in the first team squad or they go on loan. I mean, the last one, ironically, was like Tom Davis and John Joe Kenny. And they come up, but they came up from, it was slightly different then because it was early days of the under-21s and the way Everton had it set up we paid a fortune for all the players. So it's slightly different then. But without going on loan, you've got to get yourself better. You've got to make yourself better, and these players aren't. And a lot of these players now are taking it in their own hands. They're not bothered. He'll go there for a year, and then after a year, there'll be clubs back over here looking to sign him.
Well, Jadon Sancho did it, didn't he? At a different level, but he walked out to City and went to Dortmund, and look at, he's developed. All right, he's hit a little bit of a flat line at the minute, but he ended up playing for Dortmund. Brilliant. He's played for England. He's got a £90 million move to Manchester United. So these players will look and go, if I can't see a pathway, then I'll get off.
Pat, let me ask you a couple of questions.
Ooh.
Just want to throw my knowledge onto your ear. How has baseball has it improved in its first week with the new time restrictions on the batters and on the pitches? Because obviously they're trying to speed the game up, and there's a lot of talk in the football game about speeding the game up and getting into a more condensed time area and getting more. So has baseball improved in the first week of the new season?
It has in a way. I kind of a little bit of an old school baseball fan where I like kind of a little bit of the shithousing of wasting time, of running around the mound, of I dropped the ball, check the rosin bag, all that. But it's more because it was getting to the point where it was getting a little bit ridiculous. But Yeah. I think for me, you either do put it this way, even if you have a 60-minute stop clock, you're not changing the amount of time that the fans are in the stands or the watching time. You're just changing the game clock. Or if you're going to do 90 minutes, do what they did at the World Cup. That's probably the first transition. That teaches players, if you want to waste time, that's fine. It's all getting added on.
Yeah.
That's the thing to me. It's like, it's fine. If you want to take your time, if you want to take a minute and a half on a free kick, that's fine. It's just getting added on.
No, I just
take 30 seconds out of bounds. That's what I think would help, because eventually people learn.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting because I've seen with the new rules, obviously they're competing with all the sports, competing in Americans, competing for other interests. I thought that was quite interesting. And also, what a comeback for the Cubs last night, by the way. He's gone deadly quiet on me. He obviously doesn't like it. Is he gone? Okay.
He's muted himself.
If you muted yourself, you just don't like the Cubs.
Talk about the Cubs.
Is that what it is?
Fair play. Fair play to Pat.
1 second, I got a phone call.
Okay, sorry, Pat.
Go on, Pat. Right. Go on. We'll let you go. Listen, nice one, Pat. Top man.
See you later.
Have a good one.
Cheers, pal. Ta-ra. Right, last couple for
I like the Cubs.
Before John gets subbed in. RCO2 says, what would you do with Branthwaite next season? Personally, think he'd fit amazingly with Deitch and Tarkowski to bounce off. Think we've missed a left-footed centre-back since Distan. So take the 20 million or commit to him. What would you do? You love Jarrod Branthwaite, don't you?
Yeah, I think Jarrod Branthwaite's the future.
Just get him in. Get him in. Sound?
I've just been sent this, sorry, very quickly.
Come on.
Someone has put a bet on in I think it's Bulgaria. A special boost bet for a game between two teams in Bulgaria. Total number of arrested people before, during and after the match. At least 5 people, and the odds are 2.35. What an amazing bet that is.
Tremendous bet, if that's your thing. Yeah. RCO2 says, also, lads, how much money and squad turnover will we have in the summer? Surely we have to spend again with so many players, and if Onana goes, that means we've sold nearly 200 million in 12 months or so. What players and positions should we look at, and how do you see the team looking? Well, they need a forward. They need a goal-scoring winger. If Onana goes, they need a midfielder. They probably need a left-back. That's just for starters, isn't it? That's 4 or 5. And once again, it's getting to that situation again. You can't keep going into summer transfer windows needing half a dozen players. Never works. There's no wonder the team doesn't go anywhere. So we need to get in some young, mobile players who we can build up. And then if you have to sell because we haven't developed, then you get good sell-on value with them. But the most important thing Everton need is goals brought into this squad, because it ain't there. What about this one from Benjamin James? Hi lads, after listening to John, I really think he should be given the opportunity on the Everton board. His experience in business would be priceless for those clowns.
Maybe let John come in and answer that question.
John will come in and answer it, and he's going to do it with Ped. So there you go. So I've seen one more. No, you're getting done. Right, a little sub. Mr. Blaine is coming in. Get your questions or your phone calls in right now.
There you go.
Go, John. Here you go. Go on, mate.
If only we had a cool piece of VT set up.
To fill in the gap.
To fill in the gap of, you know what I mean? If only.
An advert that someone paid for.
Yeah, like an advert someone paid for. Maybe. That'd be good, wouldn't it?
It would.
If you want your advert on here that is paid for, then get in touch with John Bain.
Yeah. Maybe first one in, I'll get one for free.
Maybe. Just a tester.
Tester. Get out.
John Blaine, should you be on the Everton board? No, why?
Must be better people than me.
Why though? You're a successful businessman who now, you know, helps people with their businesses in a fashion. So why shouldn't it be someone like you? An Evertonian.
Someone like me, yeah.
Well, no, but when I say someone like you, why shouldn't it be you?
You're an Evertonian.
You're an Evertonian. You're head of the Shareholders Association. You understand the ins and outs of football. And business. But I just keep shouting things, but he's got no mic, so it's I don't understand why.
He's eating chocolates as well, isn't he?
I know, he's eating chocolate. Is it the chocolate I brought in for you? Is it beautiful?
It's the other one.
It's good, isn't it? It is nice. What's this fella doing? He wants you to make cups of tea? No. Anyway, John, so why shouldn't it be you?
I'd make it better, yeah, that's for sure.
There you go. John Blaine blows his own trumpet live on Toffee TV.
It's the only way you're going to stop.
John, I think you could easily do it.
No, I'd definitely make a difference. But there's lots of other people who could make a difference.
Who are those people and where can we find them? And can we make like an A-team?
Mate, there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of Everton fans on this planet, and if only 1% of them.
Do they have to be Everton fans?
No, not really. No. I think in some respects you might argue it would be better if they weren't. But I've spent a career, when I was working for people anyway, of doing the right thing and doing things right. And if you've got enough experience, you can block out the emotional side of it. I was fascinated to listen to you guys talking about players, like Branthwaite or what have you. I think one of the challenges the football club seems to have faced, and we've talked about it on the sofa before, is that it doesn't seem, and it might be wrong, but all we can do, because they don't talk to us, is say what it looks like, that they're not decisive in making decisions.
Do you know,
how can you have a guy who's 23, 24, or whatever, playing in the under-23?
Well, I was just going to ask you, John.
It's madness.
Because there's obviously a bit of a theme about young players tonight, but if you simply look at the business side of football and how we are, the issues we face money-wise, obviously we're going to have to sell players. How do we reinvest that money? But if you look at those players as an asset, surely we are, Isaac Price, if he leaves for free, that is literally like just setting fire to money if you're looking from that point of view, surely. Well,
it might be that he goes to Standard Liège and we never heard of him ever again.
Of course, yeah.
And so we naturally assume, because someone sparkled it, in a not hugely physical league, if you will, the younger age groups and stuff, that they would do the uplift. But, Baz said that he trained with the first team, from February 2022. It's now April 2023. Maybe the reason he's leaving is because actually we decided to offer him what he thought he was worth and he wants more. Yeah. Now, if you look at, Small, the fullback and stuff like that, more is, I want to be guaranteed first team. Well, you know what? Cody's not getting guaranteed first team football. And he's probably played at least 100 games in the Premier League or something. So I think you're right that players or their agents or their advisors and the player are taking things into their own hands. And they've got plenty of examples, be it Bellingham, Sancho and others, who've said, you know what, I've gone to another league where they're prepared to put youngsters in, give them a chance. And of course, we hear how successful Sancho is, or we hear how successful Bellingham is. We don't hear the other 15, 20 who crashed and burnt. But this is the point that Baz makes frequently. If you don't buy a ticket, you don't win the prize. And we just seem to have just meandered on occasions. And I also support what you said. If the director of football is there and he's doing all the structural things and the organisation and recruiting people and doing this, that and the other, while that's going on, apparently really talented footballers are walking away. So, you've got to do the day job as well as prepare for the future.
I just looked at it and thought, well, if he's going to someone like Standard Liège, then surely, and I know we'll get some money for him, but surely we should be in a position that if anyone leaves our club or wants to leave our club,
costs money.
Yeah, exactly. So therefore, if someone wants to leave, if we've offered them a contract, then I suppose you've got to weigh it up, haven't you, and go, well, if we're offering him a contract, if he signs the contract, he gets what he wants, what are we going to get out of it, even if we know he's not going to make it?
But if we take a simple example, and we talked about it briefly on the live at lunchtime, then Isaac Price is going to Standard Liège. It's a fair guess, I suppose, that they're paying him less money than we would. You would think, with Premier League power and stuff like that. So why isn't he signing a contract with Everton Football Club and then going out on loan to Standard Liège? So that's exactly what the academy team, if you like, everyone below Thelwell, that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's finding the right places at the right time for players who, as Baz has said, either have outlived the age group or we have a very simple rule that says, you know what, if you're 20 years of age or older, you're not going to be in our under-23 team. You're either going to be out on loan or we've sold you.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's your plan, you dive the player. And I don't know if we have those rules. But if we do, we could all come up with lots of examples of, well, why didn't he do that then? Why didn't he do that then? And it's not that easy. You can't push players everywhere.
No.
But Branthwaite is obviously an excellent example. But if you were being really brutal, would you say Branthwaite's success where he is in Holland is because of Kevin Thelwell or because of Marcel Brands?
Well, we don't know, do we? I mean, that's the thing.
It must be just a coincidence.
No. Marcel Brands obviously bought the player, didn't he? Obviously really likes him. And again, why aren't we using that relationship to our benefit?
Of course.
Why aren't we using that? Marcel Brands obviously didn't really want to leave the club, but it's not the club I imagine he thought, or the job he thought.
But you are right. Farhad,
I've been right.
Yeah, is that 3 times? I think
Maybe.
Farhad Mashiri said to me when a couple of years ago, it was pre-pandemic, and obviously that gets in the way, and then the subsequent things in Ukraine have made it even worse. But he had on his agenda buying another club in Europe, simply to be that place where we can send our players for development and so on.
And coaches, if you...
Yeah, all of the above, managers even. You could say, off you go, David, off you go, Duncan, go manage Standard Liège, really, and let's see what happens when you're in a competitive league. Instead they have to go off to, Forest Green Rovers or somewhere, or Oldham or whatever. So it'd be fascinating because, of course, the Fab say that Kevin has told them all about his plan. Yeah,
it's nice. That's good for them.
Which is good, and it's good for the 8, 10, whatever the number is on the Fab. But the Fab represent the fans, so
why aren't we getting told?
Well, I do believe Fab have said you've got to put this out there. You've got to talk to the fans, not just the fans' representatives. So, and they were impressed with this presentation. So we would all be impressed.
It is quite stunning, though, in the era we live in, where we debate multiple times a day on communication, not just of Everton Football Club, but on how important things like Twitter are. I mean, when you think about something with such a stupid name is so important to the way we were with the world and the people they've banned and the people they've let back on and all these different things. Communication tools are some of the most expensive pieces of, companies now. Whether it be Facebook, Meta, and Twitter, and now all the talk about TikTok, and is it part of the Chinese government and all this. And we have got a director of football, which you would have thought day one they would have gone, you're going to have to do interviews, or you would like to think you're going to have to communicate with the football club, the fans, and everybody else, because as a football club, we sort of demand that. And yet, he doesn't really talk to us.
Well, he doesn't, and Brands did it at general meetings, but he didn't really do it outside of those. And then the club stopped general meetings, so Brands didn't do it either. We might suggest that if we still had general meetings, then Kevin would have got off, wow people like Brands did with his candour and his plans. But nothing Brands said wasn't something you could get 10,000 bloody people around the world to talk who are not got full-time jobs at football clubs. For each position we should have 2 players. Succession management's all about short-term successor, medium-term successor, long-term successor. That's like a sub-11-year-old, a sub-15-year-old, and a sub-18-year-old. But you're right, in this day and age, and particularly if someone like the Premier League go, you know what, actually, we're going to ditch BT and all these guys. We're going to have our own streaming service, a la Netflixy type thing. They'll either use that as a bargaining tool to scare Sky out of their nappies.
That's what Gary Neville thinks.
Well, I think so. But you've got to... The thing about when you, in quotes, threaten people, you've got to be able to call their bluff. And there will be a crossover point where Sky think, what's not actually viable for us, But... maybe they'll end up with a hybrid. Maybe it will be a streaming platform and Sky will run it,
Yeah, I can.
And so, but if you look at what Sky, I know we're bouncing now, but I know Sky, if you look at Sky with their glass thing, they're talking about trying to narrow people down and with proprietary solutions and make it hard to get away from them instead of embracing all the channels and say, we've just got the best content.
Well, they've just started another one, haven't they?
Yeah,
not just the glass. They've just started a streaming thing so that you don't need a dish.
Stream or whatever it's called. Yeah, probably because glass isn't working. But for them anyway. Yeah. But you're right. That means anyone who's an executive in the entertainment industry needs to be prepared to have a microphone stuck under the thing. I mean, what happens is if part of the next round for Sky or BT or whoever, Amazon, whatever, to get the sport for the Premier League. The rights. If they say, no, we want to go in dressing rooms. Yeah. We want to talk to managers on the pitch.
And they will do.
We want the director of football to talk at half time and all those sorts of things. Now, if you think that the actual best director of football you can possibly have just as a crap public speaker, then have a chief engagement officer who does his speaking for him. Because at the end of the day, fans want to understand what's going on. They want engagement. It's not just comms, which is push. Everton are pretty good at comms. It's engagement they struggle with. Because the thing with engagement, it's a bit like the non-real interview with Mashiri and Jazz, isn't it? I ask you a question, you answer it, that's it, next question. That's communication, it's not engagement. Because it really is Jazz going, hang on a minute, you actually said 3 months ago this, so have you changed your mind? And so on. So the first mover amongst Premier League old school who actually embrace this stuff will get a first mover advantage. They really will. And some of those you might argue have moved, i.e. Tottenham and the like, who've been on Netflix and stuff. But they haven't improved their engagements anywhere else.
No.
You know, they've just taken the money for a fly on the wall, haven't they? So we've got a chance, Everton. The advantage you have if you've not really done some of the other stuff is you get to skip a few generations.
And also, John, just while we're talking about communication, you the other side of it is, just two things I've seen this week is, I've seen that, I think it's CBS who do the Champions League in America, they just started a 24-hour football channel.
That's right.
And they're trying to make it so it's not, so it's got new content all the time. So people are craving new content all the time. In America, we've seen that this week, the new tournament's been launched in the States, which...
The summer tournament.
Yeah, well done, Everton. Again, I mean, putting themselves in a position where they should be there, but they're not, because obviously the Premier League can't take a risk on if we're not in the Premier League. But America...
They're not being finalised, those teams yet.
I think they have, because I think Leeds were going to be in it. So, and they've been pulled. Yeah, it's all done now.
Okay, because last time I read it yesterday was
Leeds were going to be in it. Leeds have been pulled because they can't. If you can't guarantee,
so
they've gone for like mid teams, haven't they? Because the top teams can go themselves and make as much money as they want. But America craves more and more Premier League and football, they crave content. They crave communication,
live content,
and this is what what Everton and clubs like Everton have to give them. And if we're not there, if we're not doing that, if we haven't got American fans, I mean, look at us. Every week on this show, we have loads of Americans. If you do want to call up, by the way, and you're on Toffee TV Premier, the link is at the top. Just click it, you get right through to Ned. I'm sorry, but you'll get through to Ned. That's all you have to do. But we have Americans every week because they want to communicate, they want to speak, and they want people to speak to them. And we have loads of Americans and people from around the world joining us on Toffee TV Premier, and it's brilliant. And that again, like you've just said, and I've been saying it for ages, the first club that cracks the code, the first club that opens itself up, the first club that isn't afraid to almost have a go at itself in its own communication will get a head start on everybody, because everyone will go, wow. Why aren't we doing that? And you've got to have people like your directors of football coming out and speaking. And you're absolutely right, John. I watched yesterday a video of the Wrexham goalie, Foster. And within an hour, it had done something like 150,000 views. It had the game. It had content from round the pitch. BT had obviously give them stuff. It had dressing room stuff. It had him having a chat with Ryan Reynolds after the game. It gave everybody a little mini insight to what had happened the day before. And I know Everton do stuff like that. I know they do the tunnel access, but it's very just like the game and what surrounds the game. This had context. It had feeling. And that's what people want. People love narratives. They love stories. That's why they're buying into Wrexham.
Of course,
because it's a narrative. It's not just football. And if you create a narrative in your football club, and a story, Everton have got lots of story. They've got lots of narrative. They've got every day on Twitter, I see people talking about Dixie Dean. But what a story he's got. And yet Everton's narrative is never to explain to people what his story is. It's just to go, isn't Dixie Dean great? Instead of explaining it to people. And that's where we as a football club, we've got to get so much better. And there's an opportunity there. Such a big opportunity.
Requires you to be bold. Requires you to take risks. If you like. They might be calculated, but they're still risks. But to do both of those things, you need to be able to make decisions.
Yeah.
And decisions aren't A asks B, asks C, asks D, and D thinks about it, and the answer comes back again. You know, you empower people, the board, to do stuff, but you set objectives, which is the what that you want, and they determine the how. They really do. Imagine if Everton said, you know what, we've survived again. We're in the Premier League in year 23-24. At half-time of every televised game, our director of football will be available to be spoken to by journalists about how the game's going. And immediately after the game, the captain will let you in the dressing room and you can have a chat there. Because the rights holder stuff, that's a minimum that you have to do. Doesn't stop you doing more, you know.
Yeah.
So first mover advantage, go for it. You know.
Ned, is Glenn gone? Okay, well, why haven't you got him on the screen so I can see him? So I can see that he's there. Right, we've got Glenn on the line.
Where's Glenn?
John, the business blame. Can you hear me?
Because he can't figure out his headphones. There you go, Glenn. He can hear you now. Go on, mate.
John, the business blame. Can you hear me?
I can, sir. Yes.
Yeah, good. How you doing?
I'm good, my friend.
I'm all right, Glenn. How are you?
Where are you, Glenn?
Yeah, not too bad. I was going to say Mobile, Alabama. But I'm actually calling from North London. I feel like you have to be from the US to call up these days.
No, we want people from everywhere to call up. It's just that people that just don't give us a call.
Whereabouts in North London, did you?
A stone's throw from the old Highbury Stadium.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So everyone around me is an Arsenal fan.
Nice.
So, yeah. I didn't hear what was that?
No, go on.
Somewhere around there.
Lovely area.
Yeah, it's very nice. Very nice. Yeah, I just wanted to get your thoughts, both of you, but particularly John, because I asked this question after one game, and it was a bit too early to tell, but what are your thoughts on how Dyche is getting on, particularly in the context of how well Roy Hodgson seems to have done at Palace in the last couple of games?
I'm not sure what the correlation would be between what Roy's done, but certainly he's made a difference for Palace, hasn't he? Yeah, he's got some more assets available to him than Sean Dyche has. I think Sean's doing a good job, to be honest. I think he's making the best of what he's got. I'm not sure we'll see everything that he's got until they give him better assets, i.e. better players, or players with the right attributes. We lack pace, don't we? Those sorts of things. This is a survival year. And clearly walked through the door knowing success is not getting relegated. And I think the games, when I'm watching them anyway, from where my seat is, whether it's at home or away, are less stressful than they were under Frank. I think we've got a bit more consistency. And I think a reasonable start. I think he's in danger, the manager, of recycling the same comments, around DCL. But of course, DCL's back in the squad apparently for the weekend, so that's goodness. And I think we'll see a big difference when he's got actually a man who can lead the line. But first impressions are good, I would say. And I think he's perhaps got a lot more to him than what he did at Burnley might have suggested.
I think, Glenn, what you'd say about Palace is, I think Palace have got a lot of good attacking talent there. They have a lot of pace, and I think what they did on Sunday was they soaked up Leeds' pressure and then they hit them on the counter-attack. Hodgson can organise defences, he knows how to do set pieces, and I think in the short term he's a really good appointment because a man of his age, I don't think has got the energy to be a Premier League manager for a whole season. It's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week game now, and I think managers have to have real energy about them. I think that's why they get burnt out so quickly now. And I think it's all, it takes over your whole life. You have to dedicate. And I think what Hodge can do is come in really quickly. And I just think that Palace have just got some really good attacking talent, and he's harnessed that in the first two games. Whether he could do that over a season, I don't know. Dyche just hasn't got those luxuries.
No, that's right.
We've been playing essentially without a centre forward. And three players behind him have varying degrees of ability or just skill sets. Iwobi is someone who's a nice little footballer who can dig out a pass now and again. Gray is erratic who can hit a worldie now and again. And Dwight McNeil is good on set pieces and has got a decent cross on him. And now and again it has a decent shot. But they don't even make up. Three players don't make up Kevin De Bruyne. That's how far away they are from talent wise. So, and the three of them don't really have blistering pace either. I think we think Gray's fast, but I don't think you don't ever see it. He never leaves anyone behind. In fact, he slows people down. So I think Hodgson has come into a situation that is absolutely fantastic for him, I think, personally.
Well, he's coming as the old hand, the calming influence. Yeah. I've been here before. Don't panic. These are our attributes. And then he walks into a Leeds team that under the previous manager would have been all over him like a rash, and are now naively camped out on Palace's edge of Palace's box and bang bang goal, and then some suicide defending doesn't help either. So I don't think that game was particularly representative. That was as much about the opposition, wasn't it, getting turned over? Yeah. But pace in this league can cover a lot of ills. It really can. And all ours are exposed because we don't have it. So,
Yeah, I guess the context, just to add that, John, at the beginning of what I'm comparing is, do you think Vieira was trying to get Palace to do stuff that they weren't capable of doing? Like Frank was maybe doing too much with this squad. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a different team, so I don't know loads about Palace, but they seem to be much better at dribbles than they were at possession-based football, which I think Vieira was trying to do. And is there a danger that some of these younger managers are trying to do, or I can't think of the phrase, but try and do too much, or they've got a way they want to play and the players they have just won't work?
No, I think you're right. Yeah, I think when we've got ex-elite players ending up as managers at the top level, and they've got a little bit of textbook stuff, and not to be too...
They all want to be Man City, John.
Yeah,
let's get it right.
And not to be too shy about it. I don't think Frank or Patrick Vieira or Gerrard even work too hard to get the coaching badges. Their reputation goes before them. They then get jobs through their reputation, and they are people who players will listen to because of that reputation. But once that runs out, oh my God, this is Patrick Vieira, you've got to prove that you've got it. And I think you're right. I think sometimes they want to run before they can walk. Sometimes it's this, sometimes it's that. And if you look at what Dyche is doing, he's trying to build up from the ground in behavioural terms. He's laying down a foundation of, this is what I expect you to do, and we're going to talk about it if you don't do it. And there's nothing too complex about it. It's keeping it simple, right, which the players can understand. He's trying to deliver consistency, so he doesn't change his team, really. We talk about, he may be able to say, well, let's put a youngster in, for example, but that might just disrupt the messaging, right? So until Decore got himself suspended, we were pretty much unchanged. And I think that's what the manager, Roy Hodgson, is doing at Palace. He's just bringing that maturity of, we know what our strengths are, we know what our weaknesses are, let's play to the strengths. And with the pace and the attacking threat that we have, we need 3 or 4 wins. We've already got 2. Job done. Give me big fast bonus check, and somebody will take the job on subsequently. And I also think the way you looked at Vieira and how he reacted, I know it was exceptional circumstances as good as in last year, but the emotional side of it, you do need to be calm sometimes. And Dyche gives the impression, and he'll pass this on to players, won't he? I've been here before. I know what it needs. We've lost. Don't worry about it. Let's look forward. And so on. And I think that's where the maturity of Roy Hodgson comes from as well. So there'll be some thinking going out there, I think, about particularly Lampard, Gerrard and Vieira have all got sacked in the same season. And then Frank walks into a job at Chelsea where it's not impossible he could end up as a Champions League winner. And he might be the second worst manager ever to win the thing, and the other one was a Chelsea manager as well. So it's an interesting one, it really is.
Pat in the comments here just mentioned the company will look at his trajectory, and that's the way to do it, isn't it?
Yeah, well, he went in the right, didn't he?
He's doing it exactly the right.
So-called lesser league. Yeah.
Well, he's doing exactly the right way, isn't he? He's built a, when he was in Belgium, I don't think he was amazing, but it gave him the grounding. He's come to Burnley. He's completely turned an idea around of the football club, of how it does things, and when he goes into the Premier League, people won't know what to expect. And if Pep Guardiola suddenly decides he wants to leave Man City in the next couple of years, they'll look towards Vincent Kompany, because he'll at least be doing things that Manchester City would want him to do, and he'll have a couple of years of experience doing it. Whether he's good enough for the job, they'll make that up, because that's a huge role to fill. But at least he's going the trajectory and he's doing it bit by bit by bit. Whereas some of these other managers, I just.
We'll find out more about Vincent Kompany next season.
Of course we will.
Than this season. And how he reacts to, you're not going to run away with this league. But a change of ownership as well there helps, and so on and so forth. But still a moment, and it's like a player, isn't it? Yeah. Or if you're doing boxing, you can only beat what's in front of you. Yeah. And and they've done exceptional so far. And I hope they go on and win they haven't won it yet, have they? But
they will win it.
But they will win it. So let's see.
John, can I go back to the belief thing? Because I just want to ask quickly about, how do you think, maybe using your business background when you've worked with different teams, how do you change, I like Dyche's belief system. How do you think he turns that from perception into reality, particularly for away form? I'm thinking particularly of how we kind of played against Manchester United.
Yeah, I mean, the Man United one's an interesting one because, of course, what I don't know, and perhaps we don't know, unless the manager answers the question in his next press conference, is whether the line that we were playing and the space that we left for United to exploit was actually of his design, or the players just doing what they felt like, you know? And they do have a propensity sometimes to revert to type. And that's the thing, I think that is really good from Dyche's perspective, because if what we see in these games when they just don't play or collapse at Arsenal is what the players are really capable of, then his affirmation and reaffirmation every single day on the training ground, which is fundamentally, it's a teaching type technique, isn't it? I'm going to tell you what I'm going to tell you, then I'm going to tell you, then I'm going to tell you what I told you, and you better know, after I've told you 3 times, what it is I expect of you. And each individual player knows, I think, under Dyche, exactly what is expected of them as an individual. And then when they become a collective, they should perform better. And certainly in my business life, that's what I would do when I went into teams which are failing fundamentally, because that's what happens sometimes, particularly in the world I was in, which was outsourcing and the like. And I could bore you to death, but probably not right now, where the company I work for would go into an organisation that was failing really badly. We would put in one leader and it would turn round. Yeah. Because you get all the cumulative benefits of everybody's got a fair chance. Imagine Dwight McNeil or an Anthony Gordon or whoever it might be under manager A thinking, he don't like me. Or Decore, he doesn't like me, I've no chance. Why should I train? Why should I work hard? I'll be gone in the summer anyway. And then a new manager comes along and says, clean sheet, you all start again. Now, the ones who have the clean sheet opportunity and don't take advantage, they're self-selecting departure, aren't they? But others, and this is what happens when you change leaders, people who were thought to be not very good suddenly look better than they did previously. And people who were thought to be superstars get found out because they were really just favourites and stuff like that. Yeah. So I think these are early days for Dyche, right? But some of the interviews he's done about this is a great opportunity for him, I think he's going about it in the right way. And actually, despite the fact he's got a relegation team on his hands and a struggle on his hands, he's actually behaving like he's building, not for now, not for today, but for tomorrow. And that requires the confidence to believe that come what may, I'll still be here tomorrow. So I just think and hope that, you know, he pulls it off and he then gets the support he needs through the summer. Yeah. Not by buying lots of players, but buying the players with the attributes that, and that means pace ultimately. That just makes it a better all-round proposition next season.
I definitely think he'll be much better at choosing the right type of player rather than the player that's available dangled in front of him.
Oh, absolutely. And I think he's very much, certainly, and I think I said after his very first press conference, it'll be on Twitter somewhere, if he can get anywhere near close to walking this talk, we'll be okay. And no one would guess his father's a management consultant, would they? But you know, he knows the right things to say and do, and at the moment he's getting the outputs, so that's good.
Yeah.
Cheers, mate. Good.
Cheers for that.
Awesome.
Glenn.
Thanks
Cheers,
very
mate.
much.
Thanks, mate.
See you soon.
See you later.
Hope so. Take care, mate.
Big thanks to Glenn. You can get your call on.
It's good, that.
Toffee TV Premier. Top of the link. Click on it. You get through. Ned's up. He's got a drink. Baz actually made Ned a drink. Do you feel special about that,
Ned?
Ned?
Makes most of the drinks in this place.
Nah, it's an only page, but she's not here. Don't know where she is. Baz making Ned a drink. That's incredible.
Did he make you one?
I believe he is making me one. He did. He asked me, and I said, yeah.
Oh, look at that. One for me as well. Are you watching this, Ned? This is how it's done, mate. Yeah?
Actually, I did witness Ned making a drink before. It was unbelievable scenes, to be fair. What was that? Yeah, but I think, you know, that's fair.
I made one for Frank McKenna this morning, but it was still in the machine.
Frank McKenna was in this morning
45 minutes later.
with John, and it's going to be on Toffee TV Premier on Friday. A fascinating conversation about two business minds going head to head. Honest to God, it was like...
Frank was not shy.
It was like, honest to God, it was like Clubber Lang and Rocky Balboa in Rocky 3.
Which one was which?
I can't say. That would be a spoiler. But all I'm saying is, John, hit woman. Like that. That's what he said. I don't know why he said it. He just went, hit woman. You want a rematch?
I pity the fool.
My throat's gone now. Right. My throat.
Cheer him, man.
I missed it. Wasn't on mic.
Baz just shouted, "He is so bad."
That's it.
We got Ahmed.
We've got Ahmed.
Yeah.
Lads, can you hear me?
Are you there?
Yeah.
Can I ask you? Are you on a picket line or are you working?
No, I'm not on work. Of course, I'm striking.
I'm just asking. He's saving lives, Ahmed. He's in London saving lives, John. He's saving lives. That's what he does.
Not today.
Not today. What are you doing today? Nothing.
No, and I just did some life admin stuff, so it was all right. Yeah.
What's light admin?
What's light admin when you're a doctor?
Life admin.
Oh, life admin.
I thought you were just like taking someone's appendix out for a laugh.
Having fun or something. Having fun.
Those days are gone now. I'm all about bladders and kidneys and all of that. But
here you go. What's your
speciality?
What are you now?
I'm a urologist.
Oh, that's good to know. It's good to know.
You're talking about Viagra before. I know a little bit about that. So
urologist just said he knows loads about Viagra, and that's not about his job either. Apparently,
social reasons. No.
Don't test the product, mate. Yeah.
Go on, Arm. Go on, mate.
I've just got 3 things to say, really. You were talking about Kevin Thelwell.
Yeah.
And it brought my mind to James Vaughan, actually. And I just wanted to bring some positive light because, albeit, the likes of Isaac Price and Stanley Mills have slipped through the cracks, but the choice of loans have been very good this year. So you've got the likes of Tom Cannon gone to Preston. Ellis Sims was doing well at Sunderland, and then Lewis Warrington was doing well as well. So the choice of loans have been good. Even Dele Alli at Besiktas, he managed to mess that up himself. But these were good loans.
Yeah.
So, and in the way things are going, looking at David Weir's career progression at Brighton, is he a future director of football for us? Because he seems quite impressive.
I believe that's the plan, mate. That's the plan. I think James Vaughan. That the plan is that he literally goes up the ladder at Everton Football Club because I've spoke to his boss actually at Tranmere, and he said he's the sky's the limit. He said he's not. This isn't like you haven't brought James Vaughan in because he's an ex-Everton player. That's one of the reasons he's in, because he knows the club and he's been on loan and he's been through the youth system, so he understands. He said, but this fella has got a huge future in front of him. And whatever happens to Kevin Thelwell, he does 2 or 3 years stabilising Everton, moving it to the next level. And don't get me wrong, I don't think James Vaughan is quite ready to be the football director of Everton Football Club.
Succession management, 2 or 3 years down the track.
100%.
Yeah.
I think that is 100% the plan, and that I think that is good. And you, by the way, you're right. By the way, to call up those positive loan deals. It's very easy to sit here and say negative things about the football club, but you're absolutely right. There has been some superb deals done with Tom Cannon and Lewis Warrington. And listen, just to get Dele away somewhere playing football and not on our wages, it's unbelievable.
It's an incredible piece of management.
It's an incredible piece of management. So you're absolutely right.
And I think that's the one time we've actually seen foresight. We didn't manage to replace our right back for years. We haven't managed to replace our striker for years. Director of football. This is actually something that's got some future plan. And then you go back onto the spotlight on Kevin Thelwell, and you are just thinking now he's been hamstrung, and it's quite obvious there's no money in the club. Like there might be money outside of the club or around the club, but there's nothing inside the club which has bore fruit in the January window, and it'll be the same in the summer. I just can't see how we're just going to all of a sudden start splurging cash.
And we shouldn't either.
We shouldn't. That's a very good point, John. But it's just you're talking about Arnaud, he was screwed over by Arnaud Danjuma, but Danjuma wasn't even the right type of player that we were looking for. He's a player that plays off the right going in, and we needed a big striker, so we still weren't even getting the right forward in the first place, which it just brings a lot of pressure on him. And then the Stanley Mills issue, the Isaac Price issue, these are director of football issues, and I'm not going to put any pressure on him because he has got such a poison chalice, but it does just I'll give him this as a fan point of view. You just give him this one summer and see how it goes, but it's not convincing. And I wasn't convinced by Marcel Brands, but he seems to have done a markedly better job than Thelwell has so far. And And then the last point was about the board, and I think there is going to be a transition. It looks like the influence of Bill Kenwright is waning. He's not getting in contact. We had that one statement a couple of weeks ago. The MSP rumours are getting stronger. He's not at the game anymore. So do you think that there is going to be a transition to a whole new board in the summer, and that Farhad Moshiri has listened?
Go on, John. This is yours.
Is it? Right. Okay. I think we've said on the channel for quite a while that it's when, not if, the board changes. Yeah. And Farhad Moshiri is fond, is he not? And he did it on the sort of interview he did with Jazz Bal for the Fan Advisory Board about, I'm seeking investment who can not just bring money, but bring experience and expertise as well. I don't think it's necessarily going to have a wholesale, leaving of all of them. So the fans who want them all gone, if you will, are not going to get what they want. And I don't think it would be prudent to do that. You could have some degree of continuity. And if MSP come along and they have board members, are those board members going to be executive board members? Are they going to be non-executives? If they're non-executives, they're fundamentally advisors. But of course, they'll have skin in the game if we were to listen to what's being talked about of at least £100 million. But there'll still only be minority shareholders. So I think I rather hope that the dialogue that's going on is really about, and perhaps they might have said it in smarter words than this, but Farhad, are you going to stop interfering? Are we going to agree what the management board is, the operational board that runs the business on a day-to-day basis, what it constitutes, who's on it, both in roles and in individuals. And it needs to be significantly larger numerically than it is now. If we think of maybe 3, 4, 5 executive officers and 3, 4 non-executives who all bring expertise and experience, then I think the lack of decisiveness and the like from this board will be a thing of the past. And that's if those board members who are on it already pretty much stay there, but you just put better people around them. Bill himself, I think, he knows that his days are numbered, I think, in the sense of forget what fans think and we think or what the owner thinks. He knows what his health is like.
Yeah.
He knows he's not getting any younger. He probably knows he's not enjoying watching Everton football because of all the stuff, the baggage that comes with that. And he needs to find or be supported in a way to find an elegant way where he can become the man who can actually go to the ground and watch football matches, and without taking all the stick that he takes while he's the chair. I think for us as fans, though, it's a bit like you just talked about, your very sensible questions around the playing side. We shouldn't expect that a new board that walks through the door is going to make the world a better place overnight, Yeah. But having said that, I also said a few minutes ago that I've done this for a living, and it can be made better overnight. And the bit that can be changed most quickly is perception. And I think a lot of fans are putting their hats onto a hook that is, as soon as certain people have gone and other people have come in, their perception will be we're in a better place. And then that plays back to some of the conversations we had from other people about narrative, controlling the communication, engagement channels, and so on. And I think when we stay in the Premier League this season, there would be no better time for the change of the guard than during the close season.
Yeah,
and so I think we have to go into next season, if we're in the Premier League, knowing who the board are, knowing that Bill's got some lifetime presidency that allows him to be the old hand who's there to advise if needed, but has no day-to-day, involvement in the running of the operation.
I disagree with you on that, John. I think he should just leave, and I think time will then be a healer. He will probably, if he stays in, it's going to be that
him being on the board or anything like that.
No. I think what Ahmed's trying to say, though, and I think I agree with you, is if he leaves the club, not leaves the club, but if he's removed from the board,
absolutely,
and then they don't give it, because if they say you're off the board, then it's a nice little big thing. I think if he leaves the board, you leave it a little bit, and then maybe you bring him back.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because otherwise, fans will go,
what's changed?
What's
You need a fire break.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You do. Yeah.
And they're just talking about who stays and who goes. I know she gets a lot of stick, but if as as we're all led to believe that Denise Barrett-Baxendale is in charge of the stadium, is she actually doing a decent job? Because the stadium seems to be coming along. Is that part of a role, or am I just mistaken?
I'm just going to sit back and let John have this one.
I mean, the guy who is running the stadium project is Colin Chong, yeah?
Oh, okay, fine.
Who's an industry expert, right? He's an ex-Lang employee, but he's been with Everton for a long time. And, he did the Park End when he was working for Lang, yeah? But Colin works for Denise. Right, so let's take the simple thing. If it was a complete and utter dog's dinner, Denise would be getting the blame. Yeah. And it's not a dog's dinner. It's probably the best thing we're doing. Probably the best thing we've done for a long, long time. Therefore, she should take some credit as well. I mean, when you talk about transition, my own view would be, and maybe it's too late for this now, but a transition that says, you know what, the most important thing for this football club in a non-sporting sense is to make sure that stadium gets built on time and to budget. Denise, please go and make that happen. Because the rest of running a football club is the sporting side, which is Kevin Thelwell, right? And admin type stuff, which, let's be candid, is beneath Denise these days. She's, she shouldn't be making sure the ticket office opens on time. She shouldn't be making sure the grass gets cut. She should be making sure that mission critical projects actually get delivered on time and to budget. So you could have softened a number of months ago the fans' angst by saying Bill's on his way out at the end of the season. Denise is going to make sure the stadium gets delivered, and she'll get lots of plaudits, so she'll make that happen. And we'll have some form of chief operating officer or somebody who runs the place on a day-to-day basis.
Would it not be okay? So, because I think personally, for me, I think once you put I think it's all the stuff you do in the first place with something like a stadium or a building project. Once you hand that over, it's all in the pre-planning, isn't it? Of course, it's all
to a point.
Yeah. Should we judge Denise Barrett-Baxendale on the stadium actually on day one, and we look at things like what the corporate hospitality is like, what any of the bars are like, what the fan zone is like,
what the future capacity could be like as well.
That's what I mean. It's like it's not necessarily the building of it, because she's handed that over to someone else. But she's
outsourced it.
But is it more on day one when we look at it and we go to get a drink at a bar and we go, this bar's amazing? Is that when we should be handing over the credit to Denise Barrett-Baxendale and say, this is fantastic? Forget about the bricks and this place is fantastic. It's got more staff than it needs. I applaud the chief executive for that. The fan zone is incredible. The stuff that happens on non-match days, this is amazing. Is that when we should be thanking her rather than? This is.
We do need to get there in the first place as well.
But that's. I'm just trying to get that clarification.
I mean, there's a couple of things, because she should have credit already because she got planning application approved.
I agree.
And I can sit here because most people, human beings by their very nature, they look for the things that were wrong. So if you ask me, could we have got planning approval faster? Yes. So perhaps we should be in the stadium already. I'm going to say we should be in the stadium already. We would have missed all the things that are currently causing us problems, like sanctions, this, that, and the other. But it perhaps would have been riskier, right? Because we may. When you do things faster, you have less time for lobbying and all those sorts of things. So we'll never know. So it's in the past. It doesn't matter. We got the planning approved, okay? And if people watched the planning meeting, when they finally gave approval and all that, she did a brilliant job in that session. Yeah. Now, what she seems to me to be exceptionally good at is delivering structured deliverables. So she's at her best when she's doing a speech. She probably, because we don't get much examples, but maybe she's less comfortable doing interactive things where people come back at you. Denise, what about this? Oh, that's interesting. What about this? A bit like Prime Minister's question time. You've got to be on top of your brief.
You got to have quick wit.
And so when people are not comfortable like being able to do that, then that's when they start to try and limit the engagement that they have in environments that they can be challenged.
They're not comfortable in it?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why you go out and get yourself a chief engagement officer and make them do it. So I think she will, rightly or wrongly, be seen as the person who made it happen.
I'd love it to succeed, because it'd
be like, all, mate. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it'd be a bit more than that. It'd be like a kudos to, this is an Evertonian, and I'm not one for localism in football, because we are we should be branding ourselves as an international brand, even the everything. But she is a local Evertonian, Scouser, and she helped deliver a legacy for the city through the club, which I'd love that. That'd be a great story to tell.
She led it, absolutely.
What I would say is, and to be fair, John, what you were saying there, I fully support how they delivered this stadium. I fully support. And I said this at the time when people were saying, why do you need another consultation and why do you need another consultation? My view on was, this stadium is so hard and so tricky to deliver because of where it was and because it was a World Heritage Site. And we had to tick every box 3 times because to me it was that, like you mentioned there, if we'd stumbled or we tried to go fast through those bits, that's where, when we were called in by the government,
absolutely,
that's where they would have gone, why did you not look at that area? And that's when you get dragged into all those extra meetings and all that extra, and English heritage gets involved and all these kind of things. We had all the box ticked. We could go back to them and say, we've asked the people of Liverpool 3 times, do you want this stadium? And every time they've come back, and when we did the first one, we looked at everything that people didn't like, and we sorted it out on the second one, and everything on the second one we sorted out on the third one. I don't think this stadium could have been delivered any faster. I really don't. I think they've done it the way it should have been done. I think they let Dan Mice do it perfectly as well. I think there was a year, Baz has just given me a look there. There was a year when don't get me wrong, there was a year when Robert Elston made a dog's dinner of it, and we had to go back and start it from the beginning. That's when it could have been faster.
When Denise took over, we were on, like, was it the second general meeting where Elston has said, and we'll submit the planning application this year. Yeah. And so the year's loss, sorry, I should have made it clearer. Yeah. The year's loss was down to Elston. Yeah. You know, and
he was probably in the gym though.
Yeah, but the curiosity is, Denise was Elston's deputy.
Yeah,
so if you can't see, you've got someone sat next to you who's ideally suited to make things happen. Yeah. Because it's interesting that, you know, you get the fan base and the challenges that this board are facing right now. But it wasn't for that process that relevant what the fans thought about Everton's chief exec. It was what UNESCO thought. Yeah. It was what Historic England thought. It was what the government thought. It was what Liverpool City Council thought, and so on. And as you say, they ticked the box, and then they thought, well, we've got our braces on. Where's me belt? You know, let's have the trousers a bit tight. Yeah. We don't want any chance whatsoever of them falling down. And of course, we ended up securing the planning application. The city lost its heritage status, if you like. As an excuse, they blame that, and no one gives a damn.
No.
Well, yeah, that was a PR, prize, really, that you lose your UNESCO heritage site, but we're celebrating that. You know, we're saying yes. You know, it's our liberation.
Absolutely, and now, of course, that, you know, there'll be Euro 28 games in it. You know, you know, and we'll all get to go to this wonderful stadium on the Royal Blue Mersey and all those sorts of things.
Go on, Alan. Sorry.
Yeah, so it's just a bit sad though that she was tainted by. I don't know. Like, you know, she seems like the head teacher we needed at the time for the stadium.
No pun intended. With academic background. Yeah.
No, I think you're right though. It's almost like you have to separate the two things though. Yeah. I think what Denise Barrett-Baxendale and what Everton Football Club has done for the stadium is unbelievable. Totally. Do I think she should be running Everton Football Club? No. Because I do think they're two separate things. I think the two.
And she's always going to be tainted by the headlocks, and it's sad. You know,
it is sad.
She will, and she is part of the problem. Like, as much as she's done good things, you know, there is that other background issue. But I think credit where credit's due. To be honest,
absolutely.
You know, and James Vaughan as well. That's a positive. And I do just one last thing about James Vaughan is. Failed football. He was very talented. I remember I was at the game when he scored. He was I was at the Palace game, and when he came on, and you know the excitement, and he had the pace and a goal score. And I find these players that tend to not live up to that for injuries, in his case, for whatever reason, they tend to become very cerebral. They tend to become great thinkers of the game. Yeah. And I hope that's the case with him. But yeah, 2 positives and a negative. So I'll leave you with that. Thanks,
lads. That's good. Well done.
Take that. That's a positive diagnosis there from Ahmed.
You're gonna live, lads. You're gonna live.
That is right. Hope so. Cough. Right. Nice one, mate.
Cheers, mate.
See you later, that, mate. Stupid.
That's a cracking call.
Ahmed from he's in Currently. Well, I met Ahmed when I was doing my running. I was running, and I seen this car going past me in West Derby, and he went,
knock you over.
And he went, "I'm watching you now," and he had me on the screen in his car. That's how flashy he is. No, he's a passenger.
Oh right, that's all right then. He was driving you. Oh shit.
He was, shut up, John.
I know.
And he's like, I'm watching you. I was like, who's that? It's Ahmed. I went, all right, Ahmed. Yeah,
brilliant.
There you go.
He's gone now, but there's another job that needs doing as soon as the stadium's nailed, which is the legacy.
Yeah.
What happens with Goodison Park?
Well, you're hoping they take the bricks, aren't you?
Well, they're going to leave them there, aren't they? But, those community assets are vitally important that they get built as well. And
absolutely.
And that's another big job that somebody has to do.
Absolutely. Well, here's a question for you. Who's paying for
that? Sponsors.
Are paying for... What kind of sponsors?
Don't know. The club, when they were talked about it, just said they'll get external investments.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Yeah, let's see.
Well, that has to happen though, doesn't it?
Goodison funding will help.
Goodison has to happen though, doesn't it? And of course, there is a lot of charity projects part of it. So the funding, I imagine, would come from stuff like
what's
that.
happening up the lane. So we just need to get to the top and then embrace it all, don't we?
Yeah. No, I mean the stadium's there. It's looking fantastic. I mean, obviously the West Stand is completely finished now. The East Stand is not far behind. They've started building. I don't know if you've noticed. They've started building the frame, the outer frame for the roof.
Yeah.
On the West Stand as well. So it is all happening. And of course today's obviously fantastic news that it's been given the 2028 role, which means Liverpool as a city secured the Euros, because it wouldn't otherwise, because Liverpool's stadium is too narrow. I believe the pitch is too narrow to be considered for. So it's not like we. I know people would like to say, well, beat Liverpool. If Everton Stadium wasn't there, we wouldn't be having any of Euros, and that would be a disgrace, because obviously the World Cup in '66 was at Goodison. 96 was at Anfield, and you want to continue that, because we are one of the great, if not the greatest, football city in the country. So that is fantastic. And I spoke to someone from Everton today, and I was wondering whether we would get money, because I remember when the Euro 96 happened, and there was a thing saying that Liverpool were going to get money to do the COP to make the stadium whole. There's no such luck with us, but obviously the factors of being part of 28, and I know it will be called the Everton Stadium, because all the stadium
they don't
you don't allow, but surely if you are going to someone and you are saying, well, we want naming rights, I know for that 2-week, 3-week period you can't have them, but surely to be connected to that would be a huge bonus.
Of course it's going to be a huge bonus. And if you can imagine, well, I can imagine, because I'm half full, I suppose, but what you do, isn't it, is you put on a huge event that's fully branded with your sponsor's name just before the tournament starts. Be some world star or something, and you just get it in people's psyche. This is actually the Amazon Arena or something, really.
Well, yeah.
Even though it's called the Everton Stadium, everyone knows it's Amazon, really, and that would be cool. And it's got to help, hasn't it? It's got to help.
Yeah, but it's interesting, isn't it? Because on the same day as that news has come out, we've just heard that USM have been sanctioned.
Yeah.
So, I mean, no, I'm just saying it's just an interesting thing, isn't it? On the same day that we're talking about the stadium, and obviously now a lot of people have been... I mean, it was only last week that... What were the BBC saying? The proposed stadium, the proposed Everton Stadium, that has got all 4 sides built. The proposed stadium, and today, a lot of people who don't follow, who aren't Evertonians, who aren't following the stadium, today will be what? A lot of people will go,
wow, that looks good.
What stadium? And they'll see it. But on the same day, the company that have already given Everton money for naming rights have basically been sanctioned. Luckily, there is no connection with Everton, Mashiri, but it's just an interest. That's Everton for you, isn't it? That's Everton for you.
It is. I didn't like the picture they used, but hey ho, there's better images of this wonderful stadium than the one they used. So.
Yeah, well, it's getting an up to date one, because they just move so quickly. Sometimes you look at it and go, that's 3 days out of date, because I seen ones the other day and they didn't have the West Stand completed, and now it's completed. Now you look at the East Stand, there's metal all the way along it, and hopefully by the end of it won't be this week because of the winds, but in the next couple of weeks we'll see the south end roof completed.
You're an expert, aren't you now?
I am fascinated by it. I'm fascinated by the build. My dad's worked in. broke into Finch Farm when that was getting built. Well, broke in is a I shouldn't have been there, but so it depends what you use, broke. But I was there with one of the last concrete, and my dad's mate was there last week doing the last concrete drop, and he sent me a video of it as well. So
well, we'll have a guy on soon who knows all the stuff inside out.
Well, even the drone stuff's getting more difficult because I believe you've got to have a line of sight when you have the drones, and it's very hard.
Things are in the way.
It's very hard now to get your drone on the other side because you're losing the line of sight and stuff. So even from that point of view, but one of the cranes has come down and they are very expensive, so that'll help the football club. But it's becoming such a reality now that you look at it and it looks like a stadium.
I wonder how many Reds are left who don't think it's real. Yeah. Can't be many of them.
I think quite a few of them still, though they're making other jokes now, aren't they? I mean, it looks like an Asda and all this, or you're not going to own it all that kind of thing. But listen, leave them to it. That's up to them. That is up to them.
Just telling Man City don't own their ground.
Well, it's funny because I was talking to Baz before, we were comparing the 96 stadiums, and 96 you had Anfield, Old Trafford, Hillsborough, Nottingham Forest, and obviously they're not going to be part of it this time. And the capacities, well, you had the old Wembley as well. You had the capacities. You had the likes of Newcastle's, which was, I think it was 40 something at the time. Villa was 40. Sheffield Wednesday, Old Trafford was 55,000 at the time of Euro 96, and you look at it now, and you just see how it's all.
It's a wreck, though, United's ground.
Yeah, it is. It was. I mean, don't get me wrong. When we went to America and we saw a stadium that was 25 years old, and they were like, we want to get... When we went to Baltimore, they were like, we want to knock it down.
Oh, yeah,
and then we went to Minnesota and we suddenly realised why they wanted to knock it down. Because all the stadiums are now enclosed and it's all glass. And the world has moved very quickly in the last 25 years. So, and obviously...
And that's with their franchise model. You just find someone who's going to pay for it and they move.
Yeah, that's the great...
So the city has to do it if they don't, because they'll move.
Yeah, that's the great thing for them. And I mean, it's not great for the fans, but it's a great model for them. It's either the city pays for it, or we go and we take all this money for us with us, and anyone. And we've had loads of people discuss who should pay for our stadium, or whether the council should get involved. But certainly, for this now the city can say, well, we're getting Euro 2028, and that's because of Everton. Otherwise, we wouldn't be getting it.
That's true.
So because obviously Liverpool stadium isn't
suit
up to
the need.
Well, yes. So good stuff. Any more callers, Ned? Pat's back. I think we've had. I think we go on. We'll get Pat back very quickly then. Very quickly, if he's got another question. Because he did get cut off, so we'll get him back very quickly. Go on, Pat.
Hi, Pat.
Go on, he's back. He's come back. He's returned. All you people haven't given us a call.
It's tax season in the U.S., so got a call. Anyways, so
go on.
When you said about the Cubs, it was a nice thing. It's like the Ellis Sims of the Cubs hit a grand slam to bring him ahead. But I wanted to ask John, because this is something I wanted to say. What role does a owner have in terms of like Farhad Moshiri to be effective while being engaged? Because it feels like being an owner and just stepping back and saying, "Oh, just throw money into a fire pit or whatever." Is that for Everton at least? But at least it's just throwing money and being there as sort of a background figure effective, or can someone be effective? How do they get involved effectively?
There's a couple of things here, because if the business was functional, in the right way, and therefore it was self-sustaining, then he wouldn't be throwing money into a pit, would he? He'd have bought his shares, and he would have influence through his shareholding. So his influence can be, I decide who the chair is, or I decide who the chief exec is, and those sorts of things. But he should be trying to recruit the very best people he can to run a football club. And once he's selected them, he should let them get on with it. So he does have a bit of a watching brief. And you look at your countrymen at FSG who own Liverpool Football Club, or even the Glaziers, I suppose, are even more detached from Man United. That you shouldn't, if you pick the right people to run the place, you shouldn't have to get too involved. So it's a consultant-informed relationship between the board of directors and its shareholders. Now, clearly, if you have shareholders where you don't have a completely dominant one, then you have general meetings and they get to ask you stuff at the general meeting. If you've got a shareholder who owns 90% of the business, then you can do what you might do at a general meeting every week by picking up the phone and talking to him, you know. But I think if Farhad wanted to step back in a calm moment and think, how would I know this thing was better? And he would know that it's better if he has to have less hands-on involvement on a day-to-day basis, but a heavy hand on big decisions, you know. And big decisions are not, in this context, for me anyway, they're not which centre forward should we buy, but they might be which manager do we appoint. Yeah. Does it fit the philosophy that I envisaged for my football club? And you need to let the board of directors get on with it. And it's why there's always, no matter how critical we are of this board of directors, you've always got to give them that little bit that says, how would they be if the owner didn't interfere? You know? How would they be? The owner needs to be there to help if he's asked, but he should actually stick away from it, really. Now, that's my view. Other views are available. Other views are people who would say the owner should be hands-on. I don't see how you can have a day-to-day running of a business and then have the owner who's hands-on. So you can't have, you know, it's neither fish nor fowl then, is it? So I think if we can see him less involved, publicly I mean, then that's probably a sign that we're going in the right direction. And notwithstanding some of the noise that we've had in the Jim White days and the occasional wheeling of him out to speak to Fabs and things like that, he does appear to be less publicly visible. And while some people might think that's a bad thing, maybe it's a good thing as well. So let's wait and see, my friend. Does that answer what you meant?
It does. I'll just make the last Cubs comparison is that the Ricketts, who are horrendous people, are
they the owners, are they?
Of the Cubs, yes.
Okay, not my sport, baseball, sorry. Yeah.
But that's fine. But they are similarly disastrous. But they picked the right person, and Theo Epstein, who had the Red Sox, got the Red Sox over their curse. And they would have, instead of trotting out the Ricketts, they would be completely silent, and they put out Theo Epstein or Jed Hoyer, the general manager or the president.
Absolutely.
So the question is, why aren't we hearing from Thelwell? Because from what the interview we've seen, he's a well-spoken guy who has a concentrated philosophy about how he recruits. Why are we not hearing from Kevin Thelwell, and why are we hearing from Farhad? And that was the last point.
And I think they're fair observations, and I think Ped talked about it before. One of the things the football club needs to sort out, probably when the season's finished, is how they effectively engage with the fan base, and particularly from a sporting side. I mean, if you remember when the football club cancelled general meetings, they said we're going to have fully inclusive fan forums instead. And we haven't had that either. So they need to sort that out.
Let me just say...
and that means Kevin needs to be out front on the sporting side. Yeah.
Let me just say something, right? Everton have got 115 media staff, and they put out less content than we do.
That's extreme.
And there's 3 of us in this studio, plus John when he comes in.
3.5 then.
And he graces us with his presence. And they put out... I don't know where it goes. And in a day and age where things like match programs and even websites, by the way, websites are obsolete now because it's not how we get our information. We want our information quick. We want it snappy. We want discussions. We want interaction. Where is that content? What we want, what anyone wants, and this is not just me sitting here, someone who does this for a living. I'm talking about in just the general fan base. You want news all the time. You want to know about what Kevin Fellow's doing. You want to know what the manager's doing. But it has to be organic content which isn't forced upon them. I don't want Kevin Fellowell, by the way, to sit in a room and have to do an interview once a month if he doesn't want to be there. I don't want Sean Dyche to do interviews if he doesn't want to. But we have to now, and this is the difference between, this is why it's good to have Pat on, this is the difference between American sport and certainly sport in this country, is that American sports people are brought up doing interviews and understand that what is is won by doing those things, what the interaction that is needed. So much noise. This is why earlier when we were patting on some of that new rule in baseball about making the game quicker, because people have less time and they want things sharp, especially if you're sitting there and you're watching sport, or you get your information via your mobile phone. You're sitting there doing that. You know, you want it quick, you want snappy, you want it fun, you want it interactive, you want to be able to, you want to. I actually told Everton 9 years ago that it was a bit less, but I spoke to someone and they were asking for ideas, and I said, why don't you have, like, say it was Lukaku at the time, I said, why don't you have Lukaku and people send in videos and he sits there with a mobile phone and he listens to the question and he gives an answer back. Now you could do that live. You could line up someone up and he could have a phone and he goes like that and he does it, and that to me is like, that's just a general...
I'm not as creative as you on this subject, right? But I did spend 10 years doing high-level customer management, so I get it, right? And I spoke to the football club a number of years ago, be polite, not say how long, but pre-COVID, should we say. And I said, why don't you embrace stuff, And, for example, the chief executive could be up front and centre far more often than he or she is. Can you imagine if every single morning there was a 30-second piece of video from the chief? It doesn't matter who the chief executive say, hello, Evertonians, just getting into the office, blah, blah, blah. On the agenda today, I've got to go to Premier League meeting, and then I'm having a strategy review with the director of football. Have a great day. Thank you. The end of it. Hi, guys. Fabulous day today. Spoke with Kevin. We're really enthused about what's going to happen in the up-and-coming transfer window. Can't say too much. You know what it's like. Blah, blah, blah. See ya. And people go, hang on a minute. The first video was at 7:23 in the morning, and the next video is at 9:10 at night. Don't these people work long hours? Yeah? But you'd wake up going, has the video come out yet of the chief exec? Right?
If I had my way, if I run Everton's media department,
can be changed very quickly.
If I run Everton's media department, every single day of the week, I would go live. At 10 o'clock till 11 or 1 till 2 every single day. And I would guarantee every single day there was a guest on. Every single day, because that's what modern media needs, and Everton falls so short of that. And I'm seeing people in the comments go, you imagine all the abuse they get. Why would they get abuse? Why would you, if you're talking directly to...
come on. Think about how fun, legitimately, look at how funny Jordan Pickford is on the field. Imagine if you had in-locker interviews with him. It is really thick Macam accent taking the piss out of Newcastle.
Well, no, it would
be hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. It would be a 30-second clip, and people would love it on Twitter.
I mean, absolutely. I think that's the point, isn't it? You're talking about a 30-second clip would make a huge difference.
No, but imagine
25 players there, 30.
But again, though, it's a controlled environment, isn't it? If you've got a controlled environment where it's say me sitting there and a player was sitting there, or anyone was sitting here and a player was sitting there, and you have a conversation and you get to know them. I've just watched over the weekend. There's just been we're going to go full geek here, but I've just watched Star Wars Celebration. Right, you got some of the biggest stars in the world talking to the host of these shows, and they know them because they've interacted with them so many times. They have a relationship with them. It's like you build those relationships, and then what you're doing to the audience, who your fan base is, you're bringing them into the conversation. You're bringing them into the conversation, and all those things they're crying out for, you're giving them. So why are you going to get it? Why are you getting abuse? It's talking about abuse. It's one of the reasons people have said to us loads of times, when you do your club call, why don't you make it open? Well, it's not. This is not a. By the way, this is not a privilege thing. Why we have our Toffee TV Premium members on? We have it because we know who they are. We know they're not going to pick up the phone and go, "You're a bunch of knobheads," and say things that we
hang up,
and then say things that we go, we really apologise for that, but we know because we get sensible people like Pat to ring up who give us good points, and the club could do something. There's a million things that they could do.
You can still curate while being authentic.
Absolutely. And we talked before briefly, because we're going to wrap, aren't we? But that Kevin might not be comfortable with that sort of thing.
Make him comfortable.
Pretty much every single member of the Everton Premier League squad is younger than my youngest. So they're brought up on this. They're not scared, are they?
Loads of them have
some of them
do their own stuff anyway. So let's take that first mover advantage and open the doors.
Simple. Pat, thanks for calling, mate. Thanks for calling back, actually. And
I gotta go back to taxes.
Get back to taxes. No one, you wanted to give us a call. There you go. Big thanks to Pat.
I pay my IRS taxes.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Care, mate.
Thanks, mate. There you go. I mean, it's been a good mix. Been a good mix of chats today.
This show's the best.
I just wish more people would call because it's there. It's there for you to give us a ring and get. There's about 1 million comments which I can't go through because there's millions of them and loads of people are saying the same thing.
Just press the button.
But like, if you're on Toffee TV Premier, and that's why it is on Toffee TV Premier, because in case, let's be honest, if one person gets through and starts saying all kinds of abusive stuff, we have to carry the can for that. And I'm afraid my liabilities just aren't there. I'd have to sell Ned, and I ain't sure anyone's buying, except if you want the world's greatest guitarist, which is Ned is. No, not like that either, Ned.
In your dreams.
In your dreams, you could sell it. There you go.
At least you haven't got them sliders on today.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's been great. Again, thanks to John. Thanks, Bass is just sitting over there. He's made coffees. He's done what he's had to do for the day.
He's doing his admin.
Right, if you're on Toffee TV Premier, the match preview is out, or he's messaging Yannick Balassi apparently. He just wants to know how he wants to know how to do those tricks so he can do them on Ned outside. If you haven't seen the video of me nutmegging Ned twice, you have to watch it. It's incredible. The match preview is on Toffee TV Premier. John sat down with Frank McKenna that'll be on Premier on Friday. Frank McKenna is a huge figure in business in Liverpool. That'll be on Toffee TV Premier on Friday as well, so come and join us over there. Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow on Toffee TV Premier, looking back on Sean Dyche's press conference, which is tomorrow at 1:30, 10 to 2. There you go. Thanks
Could
for
have
watching.
a sweep on it.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks for watching. See you later.
Take care.